Good morning, everyone. Welcome. I'm glad you're all here. Thank you for coming. We're going to take another moment. Please make sure that your devices are away, tucked away. That's going to be true for every class, so you don't have to wait for me to say it. You can just go ahead and do it. Your phones, computers, earbuds, headphones, all the things, just tuck them far away into your bag as possible. I understand it's unrealistic to leave them at home these days because we are so connected to them. But for these 50 minutes, generally speaking, you won't need them. So in Lacache, welcome. I realize that there are some of you in this room. This is your first class, and that's really cool. I'm glad that you're here. We did do class on Monday, and I'll be putting up the link as soon as I figure out how to do that. There's new learning for everyone. And so I am learning how to record and put the links up for this class so that when you miss a class, you'll have the opportunity to watch it and then have the information. So that's coming. But for now, just welcome to all of you, whether you were here on Monday or whether you're new to this room. A special welcome if this is your first time, first semester at Penn State. That's a pretty cool opportunity too. So I'm glad that you're here. So we'll take a moment to just come into this moment, to take a moment to come to presence. So take a moment and lower your eyes, put your feet flat on the floor, and lower your eyes and become attentive to your breath. Sometimes putting my hand on my heart and on my belly helps me to really become even more centered. Notice how you're feeling, tired or anxious, rested, ready, excited. And just honor that feeling because it's real, whatever that is for you, becoming aware of that. Expand your lungs with a great big nourishing breath. And naturally exhale. Now take that same sort of breath and consciously release any tension that you feel as you breathe out. I feel it between my shoulder blades, in my neck, letting go of that tension. You're concentrating on the nourishment of the in-breath and the release on the out-breath. Seemingly simple, something that you can do anywhere, anytime. And you don't even have to do this, you can just do your thing so that if you're in the hub and it's busy, there's lots of people around, you're feeling anxious, take a breath and just feel a little bit more real with yourself. For many cultures and languages, the word breath and the word soul come from the same word, breath and soul. And so nourishing the body with the breath refreshes the soul. There's a deep connection in our bodies. Today I come to you with two opportunities, and I'll do this often at the beginning of class. I'll present different opportunities of all kinds. And so if you want to jot these things down, I will also be sending them out as a Canvas announcement after class. And so that's an opportunity that you can check them out there. So the first is that I have the wrong remote. Trade. Thank you. The first is this class, Interpreting Maple Sugaring to Families. This is a class that happens throughout the spring. The classes start on Tuesday, January 28th in the evening. And they go through until you get to help teach stations at the Maple Harvest Festival. And I know at least, is there anybody in the room that's done this? I know one person at least. Okay. So it is a really, pardon the pun, sweet opportunity to learn about the history and the culture of maple sugaring, and then also to earn 2 credits for AEE 297. And the contact information is here at the bottom, loon@psu.edu. So it's a great opportunity to teach and to learn some leadership skills, to join with some community, and to hang out at Shavers Creek. It's taught by a good friend of mine, and she is, I call her the Maple Queen. So it's a great, great opportunity for you, something a little outside of the box. And then also Shavers Creek is hiring for summer camp. And so if this is something that interests you, working at summer camp, hanging out with kids, getting yourself a nature name, being in the woods for the summer, it's an opportunity that's coming up. They are already hiring for this. So I'll send this out to you also on Canvas, summer camp jobs for kids ages 4 to 14 at Shavers Creek. It is one of the best summer camps in the area. It generally sells out in a matter of 5 minutes when things open. So pretty popular, awesome, cool kids that come every year. And it's a really, really fun time. All right, so this is what our Canvas site looks like. And so this is where you'll go, the home page, if you want to get to the TA contact sheet. That's one of your questions in your journal for this week. And so if there's other information, there's lots of other information in here. If you go to this resources tab, that's a place where you can connect with a lot of different organizations, or as you go through the semester, if you want to learn more about shopping in a more ethical, more sustainable way, there are resources there for you, all different kinds of things. So check that out. Extra credit, there is only one extra credit thing that is posted right now, but there will be more very soon. Those are coming. The syllabus, the TA contact sheet, and then the 3 parts of the course, which you can also access under the modules over on the side tab. So watch for an email from your TAs, and that's going to include a link to join the Group Me. The Group Me is an app that we use to connect and communicate with lab groups. And so please watch for that email from your TA, and then that will have a link to your group's Group Me. So keep your eyes open for that. And then just remember, as you're working on your journals, how many of you have gotten your journals? Okay, a few of you, some of you. Great. So remembering that journals are due this week, Thursday or Friday. So starting up on that. And remembering that the reflections are something that comes from you. There's no right answer. What you write and how you ask yourself questions, how you are reflecting is what's going to be valuable in the journal. It's going to be valuable for you first and foremost. So this is where we started on Monday. For those of you who were here and those of you who were not, we started with the scientific method: observation, question, hypothesis, and experiment. We spent a little bit of time talking about reflections of ourselves, reflections of each other when we walked into the room, whether we view the us or them. What about college, right? And what about our relationship with Earth? So we spent time with this idea of observation. So noticing, when we do that thing at the beginning where we breathe, noticing that my thoughts are racing, that I can't find a still place in my body, that's an important observation that then, because you know it, then you can build on that. You can understand it. and do something about it, right? Experiment with how to calm yourself down. So, has anybody made any interesting observations over the course of the last couple days since we were together? Anything that you noticed that you wouldn't typically have noticed? Spending time observing other people or yourself or the world around you? The microphones are here. I would love to hear from some folks about observations. Have you thought about your life as the scientific method? So what did you observe? Anything? This is a practice. Yeah.
Something that I noticed recently is that a lot of the birds have been out around the trees and around campus, which I really like because I miss them over the winter time.
That's fantastic. Thank you. Yeah. Yesterday I saw a red tail like swoop. It swooped right by me and then past these other people. It was carrying food in its talons, like, and the person that it like almost hit, like almost touched, didn't notice. I thought it was really interesting.
Hi, Jen.
Yeah.
I'm over here. It's
Thank
me.
you.
I've been noticing all of like the animal tracks in the snow,
Oh,
like
very
the
cool.
rabbits and whatever else.
Yeah, all kinds of things. Thank you. Yeah. Any other observations? Sweet. It is a practice. So then what do those observations lead to? They lead to some questions, right? Why are the birds a little more active these days than they were even a couple of weeks ago? What are those tracks in the snow? They're rabbits and squirrels and other things. Lots of things live on this campus. Lots of tracks you could be seeing. So the questions can come. How am I really feeling? Why am I doing that? What are the possibilities here with all these people? What's going on with the trees right now? Maple sugaring is a good way to think about that. So it requires slowing down to make these observations, right? It doesn't have to be, always physically slowing down. It can be, but it's almost a slowing down to a place of becoming more attentive, more aware. And then you get to the place of asking more questions. So that's where we are today. We're going to think about the power of questions, the power of curiosity. There's this guy, Thomas Edison, who said this: "I have not failed. I have just found 10,000 ways that won't work," as he was inventing the light bulb. He was also a businessman and described as America's greatest inventor. The phonograph, the motion picture camera, the light bulb, founder of General Electric. It took thousands, as he says, of iterations until the electric light bulb was as it is, right? As it works. It was not just his life, or it was not just his job, it was his life to think about different ways to make things work, whether that was in business or in science or in physics, what all of these different ways that he moved through the world. So growing up, and then even as a science major in college, I really thought that the scientific method was about, what are these fruit flies in this jar going to do? What's going to happen as this liquid turns to a solid? Does it then also turn to a gas? How does that work? Like, I thought that's what it was, to use science, right? I thought that was all the scientific method was about, except I had no idea that I was using it all the time, right? To figure out life. And you are too. So think about the people that you know that are curious. Who do you know in your life that is curious, filled with questions, always marveling about something, feeling alive and energized, engaged, constantly learning, that kind of person. Think of a person in your life like that. And I'd love to hear about them. Thank you, Zach.
My little sister, she's 6, and her favorite question is why or how, and she always wants an explanation for whatever she's doing. And I just love seeing her wonder about life.
Sweet.
So I thought of one of my friends, Alvaro. Every time I go back to Jersey and like talk to him, he's always doing something new with his life. So it's like I really don't know what's up with him. He's just learning and learning and learning.
How cool is that? Yeah. Huh.
So for me, when I interned last summer, we had one person on our team, who was like, whenever we used to work on projects, when we got something working, we were pretty happy. I mean, because like, okay, we got something to work. But every time he developed something, no matter how good it was in performance, he would always like come back with like alternate approaches to how to develop the same thing again, to see how it'd compare. And that was something that like I really novel or like admired because everyone in the company was capable. But this person, like, despite it always working out for him, he was always still curious about like what are other ways you could arrive at that same conclusion. And during like lunch breaks, for instance, whenever we would just want to take a break because we were working 80, 90 hours a week, he would somehow talk to other people on other teams and schedule lunches with them just so that he could see like what they were doing. And it was like super powerful because it taught like a lot of the other interns to start doing the same thing. And you got a chance to like just learn a lot more than you would if you just stayed on one team, for instance.
Oh, how cool. Thank you for sharing that. I love these stories of people, inspirational people. Anybody over on this side would like to share? Or in the middle? Great. Zach, could you come over this way? Thank you. Yep.
My boyfriend always watches these videos of like random facts like about certain subjects and he's always just telling me like, did you know this? Did you know that? And I'm like, no, I actually didn't. And he just loves learning new things.
That's great. Love that. Somebody in my life was my grandpa. My grandpa was always extraordinarily curious. And I'm convinced that's part of why he lived to be 99, is because there was always stuff to be learning. And I loved when he asked me questions about that nobody ever had asked me. You know, I was breastfeeding one of my babies, and he said, "What does that feel like?" And I was like, "That's so cool that you just," like he was like 96. And I was like, "That's amazing that you just asked me that." He found a broken lawnmower on the side of the road when he was 97 and started a business for lawn mowing. And so like this curiosity can carry us through. It can carry us through. We think of children, typically, Ashlyn spoke about her sister, right? We're all born with this curiosity. Preschoolers ask dozens of questions per hour. And yet research shows that adults ignore a lot of those questions. Maybe they don't have the answers. Maybe they're tired of answering questions. Maybe they're too busy to answer the questions. And it snuffs out that curiosity. So my son Henry, my middle son, at age 3, we were on a car ride with a friend, and we were going to a farm that we had never been to before. And Henry was asking all kinds of questions as we drove, you know, over this country road to this farm. And the questions just kept coming and coming, and the other adult in the car said, you know, Henry, if you ask one more question, I don't know what I'm going to do. And it shut him down. It turned him off. And needless to say, that person and I have very different ways of being in the world, and that was kind of the kicker. And we don't hang out anymore. It seems kind of dramatic, but that was like just the end. Like, if you're going to tell my kid that you're not going to answer any more questions, then you don't have to hang out with us. You're killing Henry's curiosity, and that's how he's learning. And so what happened for you? What happened for you with your curiosity? Can you think back to those moments of being a kid and asking questions? And maybe, I'm not implying that you've had your curiosity snuffed out. Maybe you're a curious person, and maybe not so much. Or maybe you have those questions all the time, but you keep them inside, right? But if you think about it, curiosity is where we came from. It got us to where we are. So as human beings, it's what let us survive. So is there water over that hill? Is this a good place for settlement? What happens if I strike this piece of flint and make a spark? It's just this curiosity that has gotten us to the place where we are today. The example of iterations of inventing things and making things and technology, right? All of the things that we've done are based on curiosity. So now think about where curiosity has gotten you personally. It was your curiosity that led you to crawl toward things, and then ultimately to walk, ultimately then to run and jump, and all the different ways that you move today. Curiosity is the human superpower, and research is showing that we're losing it. Traditional school culture looks a lot like this, where the teacher is the expert and the student is the empty bucket to be filled with answers. Can any of you relate to this in your educational experience? I know this is how I felt through college, through elementary school, through high school. Here are the facts, here's the test. Here are the facts, here's the test. And so coming to that realization is a really powerful thing. So how can I do that? I have found a study that shows that research shows that a common thread behind our current disconnection that we feel, suffering, the polarization, is incuriosity, the lack of curiosity, closing ourselves off from understanding other people's perspectives and stories and the humanity of other people, as well as the understanding of how the world around us works, affects us very deeply. It's become rare to practice deep listening, asking those really deep questions of people that even you think that you know, people that you call friends. What is it that you really know about them? Have you really spent time talking and conversing and using those deep listening skills? So the deep listening to the world around us leads us to that connection and understanding. Listening to the natural world helps us to feel that connection and understand where our resources come from. We miss out when we're not being curious. We miss out on the subtleties and the complexities, and we miss out on the opportunity for the expansion and consequent joy that comes with making connections. So what's the bigger implication of this lack of curiosity? It's actually killing us. It's killing us, right? Literally, long-term studies have shown that less curiosity chops time off your lifespan. It contributes to loneliness and isolation. And so it is our superpower. We are made to use it. We're going to look at it from this perspective of the hero's journey. This is one of the themes that we'll use through the class. So the idea of the hero's journey, it's a major theme of lots of our different cultural works. The Odyssey, Star Wars, Harry Potter, The Lion King, Lord of the Rings, Spider-Man, Mr. Incredible. You know the story, like an ordinary person gets called to do something bigger. Spider-Man is one of my favorites. And so this thing happens, he gets bitten by a spider, and then he develops these superpowers, and he doesn't know what to do with it. And then he becomes kind of this villainous person because he doesn't know. And then all of a sudden, he realizes, oh, wait, I have responsibility, right? So it's the idea of traveling from known to the unknown, curiosity about what is possible. And then you go around like committing to the risk and confronting fears, and then seeing with new eyes, surviving the challenge, and then returning home to teach others. And this is a cycle that happens over and over. So now, who do you think of when you think of hero? Come up with somebody that you think of as a hero. Yes, great.
I think of my mom.
Yeah. What about her is heroic?
Um, Probably that she just always supported me through anything, school or just life.
Sweet. Thank you.
I feel like I think of people in the military because they're just ordinary people, just like sitting in their, they could be like sitting in this room and they really give up everything for people that they don't really know. So like I feel like that's very heroic.
Mm-hmm. Agreed. Yeah. They're heroes. Anybody on this side? Somebody up there. Thank you, Katie.
Hi, Jen. I think of my dad as my hero because he has always been there for me ever since I was a little girl, always watching out for me. And I feel like he's protected me from so many things. And I didn't even realize it as a kid, but I do now, and I'm eternally grateful.
Thanks. Anyone else? So, oh.
We have one done.
Oh, sorry. Yeah. Sorry, Parth.
Hey Jen, thanks Zach. So for me, I guess like everyone around me is kind of like a hero to me because like it's kind of like a funny thing yesterday which happened to me. I was at a coffee shop like the Starbucks on the East Beaver Avenue, and like two girls were like talking about their friend, and they were like talking mean about her, but they were like laughing, and which actually made my day because like I was also listening, and I was like, yeah, that actually made my day. And the similar thing happened to me in the morning. Like I was just coming here, and like I saw a squirrel which actually fell down like upside down from the tree, and I was like, you actually made my day. I just laughed at you. So it was like, it's quite funny, but yeah, at the same moment I don't know if it's good or not.
Well, it's interesting to think about. I mean, the opinion can be different for so many of us, right? What brings, what the idea of these concepts is for everybody. So what are the things that connect? Like, what are some common characteristics of heroes? Somebody said that they sacrifice, right? They give up life, that they're putting their own lives on the line for other people. So there's some sacrifice. That's true for moms and dads too. What else about heroes? What are some characteristics of a hero?
I would say selfless is a big characteristic for a hero.
Selfless. Mm-hmm.
For my hero, I was thinking of my dad, and he's a police officer, so he's always been super positive, even though he's like went through a lot. So I think definitely remaining positive through hard things.
Remaining positive through hard things. Yeah.
I think another characteristic is someone who inspires. When I think of a hero, I think of my older sister. And although we don't share some experiences, and she doesn't really save me in that way, she saves me in the way that she helps me find the hero within myself so that I can go out of my way to overcome my challenges.
Beautiful. Thank you, Zach. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So there are people that became aware, that looked around, they had an opportunity to notice that things aren't quite right or that things need to be done, and then they jumped in, right? They didn't say, well, I don't know, maybe not, that's okay, and then just walk away, right? That's not so much of the hero, but it's this conscious decision to jump in to the story. But that all starts with curiosity, right? I wonder what's going on there. You know, if Spider-Man was just like, yeah, I'll just keep being a villain, that's cool, then he wouldn't be a hero, right? The movies would be very different. And so the curiosity of what's possible, I remember the scenes like where he's learning to use the web, right? The curiosity of how this works, of how things work, the curiosity for those people in the service, the curiosity of your sister, the curiosity of your dad of how can I make this life good for her? So the hero discovers himself or herself, themselves, and jumps in to the purpose of their life to meet that curiosity. So Rosa Parks was the spokesperson for a community of people that were asking questions. Her pivotal role in the Montgomery bus boycott, the United States Congress has called her the First Lady of Civil Rights, the mother of the freedom movement. 1955, she refused the bus driver's order to give up her seat in the colored section for a white passenger after the whites-only section was filled. She says, people always say I didn't give up my seat because I was tired, but that isn't true. I was not tired physically or no more tired than I usually was at the end of a working day. I was not old, although people have an image of me being old then. I was 42. No, the only tired I was tired of giving in. So her curiosity about what was possible pushed her to do something. She was bold enough to be curious about what would happen if she changed the story. What is my meaning in culture? It all begins with questions. So this link between curiosity and well-being, people who orient their lives toward discovery and growth, predisposed to engage in rather than avoid new things, new activities. So curious people tend to be more self-aware and don't shy away from the big questions. This young woman, she's now 22, Greta Thunberg, she was pushing for change, right? About the climate movement. She's asking questions. She's being curious. She started at age 15 using her curiosity. Curiosity is the catalyst for the scientific method and for the hero's journey. So this phrase, question everything. I used to hate it. I used to absolutely hate it because it felt so disrespectful. Like the people that are telling me things, they must know things because they're telling me, right? I need to be respectful of them, and so they must know the answers. But it's not always the case, right? And even if it is the case, understanding what they know, understanding what they do is really important. And so still being able to ask good questions of them. So it was my perception, and then I started to question it, believe it or not. So how can this phrase be of benefit to us? Through this class, I am unlearning that questioning, right? My perception of questioning before was really inaccurate, and it wasn't helpful to me. It wasn't helping me to grow. So change brings the questions, and questions bring more change. As this new year, as this new semester begins, what questions are you wrestling with? I'd like you to take some time and talk to your neighbor. If you're not sitting beside somebody, look around you, behind or in front of you, and see if you can find somebody to connect with for this conversation. Or you can even get up out of your seat and move to someplace else. Thank you. Converse. Sure. Is there anyone who would like to share any thoughts about the questions?
Thank you. One of my questions was like, why is there a bigger beauty standard for women than there is for men? Because I feel like even myself, like I find myself judging other women, even though like it's not something I want to do. It's just natural, like it's in my mind. Whereas with men, I don't find myself doing that as much.
Interesting. That's a big question. Keep digging. What other questions? Katie, there's somebody up here in the front.
So this is actually my first semester over here. I'm an international student who traveled around 21 hours just to come over here. So I'm facing a lot of challenges in front of me, and I'm asking myself how I'm gonna get through all of it. Because every class I get into, I feel like I'm being late, which I'm not. So yeah, that's
Yeah.
a big challenge to me.
Thank you. Keep breathing. Yeah. We can chat more after class too. I have a suggestion for you.
Hi, Jen. I have been questioning everything recently, like just in my life, the people I surround myself with, where I want to be. I don't think I'm where I want to be in my life right now. And so I feel like I'm questioning how can I get there in a way that is sustainable and something that I'll actually stick with and reach the goals that like I want to.
Beautiful. And it's a good and hard place to be. And I don't think you're the only one. Yeah. Yeah.
Mine's not as serious, but I was thinking about where I want to go tonight and where I'm gonna end up, if it's Yala or El Jefe's. I just don't know.
Yeah. And what does your body need, right? What does your spirit need?
I know, like I don't know what I'm feeling, so
So you gotta wait.
future me, why did I pick where I picked? I don't know.
Be in the moment. Yeah. It's true. I'm in the same boat. All right. So these questions, right? The big ones, the little ones, all of the ones, they are important, right? I wonder what has happened in our culture that stifles our curiosity. It seems to me that the power is with the people in power, right? They are the ones that have more of the opportunity to express this. Parents, teachers, bosses, managers, they get to ask more questions and tell the people below what to think sometimes. And so why is it that way? Why is that my perception? Is that your perception? Why or why not? So how is it that we can live into this curiosity? Next week, as an action assignment in your journal, you have the opportunity to write 75 questions about yourself. Getting really curious, questions that pertain to you. It can be challenging to dig in. The first 20 questions might come easily, and then it gets a little harder and a little bit harder. And so how can you really use those questions to get in to you? Changes bring the questions, and questions bring the changes, comes and goes. So quite often the quality of the question also makes a difference. What informs and why transforms, right? So what am I going to eat and why am I going to eat it? What is pretty easy. I mean, there are choices, lots of choices about what, but then why am I choosing what I am choosing? That's a really interesting question. Play with this a minute in your mind. The what informs and the why transforms. So what I'm wearing is pretty basic. Why I am wearing it brings a whole story, right? It can. So, so just think about this for a minute. Are you having a good day? Is one kind of question, is yes or no question. Why is the gentleman in the back on his phone? That's a question. Why is that happening? I don't know. It's a good question. I would be curious about that. Could you help me understand? Yeah. Texting your dad. Is that something that needs to happen in this period of time? Is there something urgent? You don't have to answer that, but just as reflection of why, why this needs to be happening right now, and what might you be missing when you're choosing to do that. So, are you having a good day? It's just a yes or no question. What kind of a day are you having is a totally different question, gives more information. And then why is the day going like that? Why are you choosing what you're choosing is a whole deeper kind of question. What did you do this summer versus why did you choose to do that this summer? Very different. So try it. Try it out with your neighbor. Ask a what question and then follow it with a why question. See what you can figure out. Nothing shapes our lives so much as the questions we ask, the questions we refuse to ask, or the questions we never dream of asking. Curiosity is from the Latin word curioso, which means careful, diligent, can also mean meddling, right? Sometimes curiosity, the curiosity killed the cat. But what can we learn when we're asking these questions? So an experiment that I'm proposing to you today is this sidewalk experiment self-study. Imagine yourself walking on this sidewalk, and in the distance, in the fog, you see one person walking towards you. So you're the only person walking this way, they're the only person walking towards you, and you're going to cross paths. It's very evident. What are you going to do in that moment that you cross? And why are you going to do it? Are you going to pick out your phone and look at that? Are you going to make direct eye contact and say, hey, good morning? It's a beautiful morning, isn't it? Are you going to look away as if there's nobody there, like totally pretending? What are you going to do? So many options. But the key is, why are you going to do that? So you can experiment with that. You're going to go out there, and there are going to be hundreds of people walking around on the sidewalk. How are you going to choose to move through the world? Thank you very much. I hope you have a beautiful day. Have fun at lab this week. Hi, Parth. Second class, check. Only 27 more.